Good morning, Lyn Christian at SoulSalt. We're going to strong start your day, and we're talking about the convergence of spirituality and the work we do in coaching. Now, already some of you have reached out wanting to make sure that you didn't miss this one. For some reason, we know that this topic is hitting a tone with you, and to be honest, it hits a tone with me. It's a way of life, and that is probably one of the reasons that way back when we were working on branding SoulSalt, the information came in that we should call the company Salt of the Soul. Soul had to be a part of the company because what we do is one part tangible, palpable, you can put your hands on it. The other part is more esoteric and more ethereal. And so we're talking about where coaching and spirituality intersect. But really, it's the essence of everything that I want to do with our clients. If we start with coaching as the jump off for this discussion, referencing Coaching for Performance, Sir John Whitmore, the father of business coaching in the UK, created this wonderful book about how to grow people, how to help them perform, how to help them be on purpose. It's sort of a handbook for coaching people in business. And one of the things that people take out of his book is the GROW model, which is about having goals and then checking reality and looking at obstacles and then finding a way forward, which spells the word grow. A lot of people get hung up on the GROW model as the essence of Sir John Whitmore's work. But I had the opportunity back when I was working at Franklin Covey to actually interview Sir John. And he asked me, before we even really got started in the interview, he said, "Lyn, you've read my book. What do you think is the essence of my work?" And I said, you know, what hits me are the constructs that you say exist in coaching, which are elements of coaching are to raise awareness in the person that you're coaching, and then hold that person responsible if they want to be something different, do something different, think something different because of that new awareness. Sir John just about jumped through the phone at me and said, "Yes, you're the first person I've talked to that really gets the essence of what I'm doing." Well, I mention this because I've taken that to heart. That's what I saw reflected back to me as I became a coach, that our purpose as a coach is to raise people's awareness and then to hold them responsible for doing something with that awareness. And another word for awareness could be consciousness. And I want to share 3 quotes from 3 people that you might recognize. The first is the Tao Te Ching. "The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness." The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness. That's one of the things that I am encouraging you to do. It's what we do here at SoulSalt with our clients. To grow, personal and professional growth are at the ground zero of everything that we do in coaching, and maybe even the things that you do in your life. And higher dimensions of consciousness coming to our awareness is part of that. Albert Einstein said, and you probably heard this one before, "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness where it was created." What they're getting at in my heart is that this is a spiritual journey. In raising our consciousness, raising our awareness, solving problems at a higher frequency, at a different level than where the problems occur, is what you and I came here to do. Les Brown said, "If you put yourself in a position where you have to stretch yourself outside of a comfort zone, then you are forced to expand your consciousness." And I want you to know that one of the things that I do as a coach constantly is make sure that each client gets a challenge. The challenges are often given in the form of take the challenge, leave the challenge, tweak the challenge. I'm going to challenge you. So the question is, are you challenging and expanding yourself? Because that raises your consciousness. That actually puts you more in touch with the spirit of who you are. And if we were to define spiritualism, I'm going to define it this way. The doctrine that spirit exists as a distinct form, and it's distinct from matter, and it is a spirit that has a reality. It's not just some esoteric voodoo, some woo-woo thought. There is an essence to each of us. And that salt of the soul is what we try to work with here at SoulSalt. What does this look like? Well, I'll give you 3 things to think about. I came in touch with this about 10 years ago. Excuse me. I was flying to Rhode Island to give a series of speeches. I had a layover in Denver and found out that my flight to Rhode Island was actually canceled. I was almost to walk onto the plane. They canceled my flight, and they hurried and shuttled us to a different flight that was taking off that could get us to Rhode Island. In the process, I knew I had a pretty good chance that my luggage wouldn't follow, and I wasn't prepared to give these speeches in my street clothes that I was traveling in. So I arrive in Rhode Island, no luggage. I go to sleep. I'm late, so I have little sleep. I get into the hotel late. I get up thinking if I go exercise and really work hard out, I'll wake myself up, I'll be invigorated, and I'll be able to give my speeches, even though I'm going to have to show up in my street clothes. So I went down to the gym, and I miscalculated the weight of a medicine ball. It came back up, hit me in the jaw, and ran my teeth through my tongue. Probably bad enough to need stitches, I thought. Almost knocked me out, and my tongue began to swell. So I went back to my room, got some ice, lay down on the bed, and the first thought that came to me was, I need some extra help. Now, as a child, I was taught in a religious family to get on your knees and pray when you needed help. And I was reaching out as I was laying in bed, wounded in my street clothes, knowing that I was going to have to get in front of an audience without my total preparation, and not sure how I was going to go through my day. I didn't even know if I'd be able to talk. And there was this compulsion from my training as a child to get by the bed, kneel, and say a prayer. But something inside of me, deep inside of me, actually spoke to my soul and said, Lyn, you don't have to get on your knees and pray. You do not have to reach outside yourself for divine information and support. It's inside of you. And that snapped me back just like an elastic band could have snapped me back to a reality that said, oh, what is spiritual, what is of spirit, what is divine is not out here being dictated to us by religious leaders or gurus, not even by a God. There is something divine, something hallowed, something righteous that's already inside each of us. Call it spirit, call it your conscience, whatever you want to call it. It's not outside of us. That's my belief. That's been my experience. And that's one of the things I'm encouraging you to do today is to consider everything you need for answers, for guidance, is not outside of you. If you are living a kind of personal growth and generative life that allows you to continue to get out of your way, you're going to hear the truth, your truth, and it's going to guide you. Another story, Oprah Winfrey. Did you know that when she was asked to do the Chicago AM show, she was just told to be herself? And recently one of my clients heard this interview where she was talking about how not to become Barbara Walters, and how not to fight and compete against Phil Donahue, who was the king of daytime TV, how to be herself, which led her to the pinnacle where she is today by being herself, starting on that path. She first had to figure that out. But a client came in and he said, Lyn, I don't know myself. I know who I need to be a father. I know who I need to be a CEO. I know who I need to be all these roles to other people, but I don't know who I am. Carl Jung said that's the greatest privilege we have in a lifetime, is to be ourselves, to journey and find that out. To me, that's the greatest spiritual quest we can be on, is to know our truth and then live it. Finally, today you have a couple of choices. I see a lot of us riding a tiger. We're out lashing and bashing and criticizing people and judging. We're on the back of a predator, where we take into our heart and enjoy the tearing and ripping of other people's lives, and how we think it's our privilege because we have social media, because we have so much technology, that we can stay in the privacy of our own homes or in our car with our little device and we can rip somebody a new one. That means we're riding a tiger. That's a predator, and at some point you fall off the tiger and you get consumed. What's the alternative? The alternative is to follow your conscience, to get really close to yourself and knowing what your truth is, to listen to the intimations of the heart, the instincts of the gut, the insights of your head, to put those together and let the spirit of your truth be what you live by. That's our tagline here at SoulSalt. Find your truth and live it. Basically what I'm telling you today is you are a being that is divine within. You have all the answers you need. Sometimes you need facilitation, and that's what we do, is we help people. We support people. And then to follow that, to stand in that integrity. Unleash your truth and live it. Thanks for joining us today.